Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And today I would like to talk about my new job as a stepfather.
Oh.
Which we've been warming up to that. I got a stepdaughter out of my marriage. Her father is MIA. He's a druggie and a piece of shit. And he's been mostly absentee her 7 years.
Oh, that's good. Doesn't need to be in her life.
Right. Well, see, there's the crux of tonight's episode. Do I or don't I tell her the truth, per se?
Not at this age.
Not at this age.
She can't comprehend.
Well, see, now she keeps hinting at, and I've heard this too many times to not get pissed off. She'll say, oh, my dad's sick, but he's trying to get better, so then he's going to get a house so I can go see him more often. Now, he only calls her once in a great fucking blue moon. The reason this comes up is last night when we were out to dinner at Stick's Restaurant down at Acme Comedy Club for the Arj Barker show. He texted the missus. Says, this is Little E's dad. Have her call me. Dirty B wasn't going to say a goddamn thing. And I'm like, whoa. Text him back and let him know at least that she's with your dad. We're out to dinner. And I don't know what she said, other than that she's with dad, or she's at dad's, meaning, her grandfather.
Yeah, grandfather's.
But that's now this odd conundrum that I have, because I have pushed for her to know more of what's going on. Because she cries when people bring up her dad, because she's like, I don't get to see him very much, and she feels bad, and I feel bad, and I worry she's going to develop some hardcore fucking daddy issues and abandonment issues because of this.
It's a very tricky situation.
Where, now, I mean, if I wasn't in the picture, I definitely would be afraid that she'd have some issues. But she's got me now.
Give it some time for her to adjust to you being here all the time.
Right.
And then see what happens. Because honestly, if you come out right now and say something, no, you're just my stepdaddy. You don't know what's going on.
Right. And the first time she says that, I'm like, go to your fucking room. This is my house.
Oh, you can! No, that's like drama. I mean, I've known her since she was 13 months old. And for the first 5 years of her life, she never even met her dad. So I was the only dad she knew. And when he decided he was going to come back up to Minnesota and meet and everything and try to be with her, it was kind of weird for her, because she didn't even she knew, I think, but she never oh, he's a real person. I'd have to talk to Mrs. Number One Fan to see exactly how that transpired. And then she asked me what I thought of it, and I was just like, I kind of liked being dad, her knowing only me as her father. But,
well, I want to set a standard for her by being there for all the things she hasn't had him there for, but I don't want to replace him. I would prefer he gets his shit together and then she has both of us. Because then he can never take that easy out victim's mentality of, well, he's trying to replace me and he'll never replace me. I'm her biological dad. Well, you're not around. Well, quit trying to fucking put me down and make me feel bad.
I'm sorry if the truth hurts, but you're not around.
He lives in a homeless shelter, and he keeps hanging out with druggies and getting in trouble. So,
does he have a phone? Like, he has a cell phone?
He's had his phone stolen from him a couple times while living in a homeless shelter, believe it or not.
How do you have a cell phone but not a place to live?
Well,
I know cell phones are much cheaper, but come on.
Track phone. Yeah. So he's had his track phone stolen by other homeless people. Isn't that great? Now, as we talked about your stepdaughter, why wasn't he present for 5 years of her life?
He lived down in Florida, and he never even told his family.
What an idiot.
Yeah. Would send happy birthdays to the Mrs. Number One Fans. They'd tell her happy birthday, whatever. So that's why I think she knew there was somebody else out there, but didn't know who or what. Never met him. So, he was up, and a couple of times during that 5 years, he was actually up here visiting his parents, because they live up here. And he never stopped by or anything like that. And then the one time, this is what she was telling me, his dad was giving him a ride to the airport, and it's like, so, got some mail from the Anoka County family and child services.
Ah.
And just wonder if you had anything you wanted to tell me. And that's when he confessed on his way to go back to Florida that, yes, I have a daughter. She's 5 years old.
What a fucker.
Yeah. I mean, he seems all right, but when I'm not there, Mrs. Number One Fan says he's always like, well, why should I have to help pay for this? That's what my child support's for. And he just keeps making snide comments about money and whatnot.
Well, the Beast also makes comments like, your child support's to help pay their portion of the mortgage. You're supposed to help out with half the stuff. I'm like, well, my parents buy most of their clothes, and I'm supposed to help with half of, like, school costs. That doesn't mean you can just buy shit and ask me for half of the money without consulting me first, because you're never going to win that one.
Yeah, it's your child support is a set dollar amount. Yeah. And then unless there's court ordered that is school or medical and all the other expenses, which I know you're paying for medical.
Uh-huh.
Unless there's orders for that, that's something you guys need to work out. And since you're already paying for half the medical, right?
No, all.
All of it? Okay, you're paying for all the medical, and you're giving her a monthly. As far as I'm concerned, what she gets from you is what she gets. It's what the arrangement I have with my ex-wife. Told her $800 a month. I use it however I see fit. I will not come to you asking you to buy this or pay for half of that. Because she's paying probably a little bit more than she otherwise would have if it was court ordered. Because she doesn't make that much money. But at the same time, she realizes that I could make things really hard for her if she didn't work with me on this. Because, I mean, who knows? Maybe she would end up paying more. But to me, it's easier to have it the way we have it now.
Yeah. And do the boys know that?
They know she's paying child support and all that, and it's not court ordered. But, I mean, she keeps up on it and everything, so. I still wholly believe that it's actually her husband that's paying the child support, not necessarily her.
That's shitty.
Well, that's who she is.
But they don't know the story of... Well, they know some of the story, but they probably don't know all your feelings on the happenings, do they? At 11 and 13?
No. I know when Bubba was going through some stuff, he asked me why she wasn't around anymore. And... You know, I started with the usual, we decided we didn't love each other anymore or anything like that. But he didn't seem to buy it.
Yeah.
So I told him exactly what she told me. And that is, she came to me one night, said she wanted a divorce. A few weeks go by, and I said, why? Why are we divorcing? We had a good marriage, I mean, for the most part. And she said, I don't want to worry about being a wife. I don't want to worry about being a mom. I just want to be able to go do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
She might as well have been an absentee mom.
And I told him, I said, she'll probably deny this till the day she dies. That's exactly, I swear to... Something that...
I swear on your life, son.
I swear on my life that's exactly what she said. Because that rang in my ears when she told me that. Like, what kind of a selfish person doesn't want to be a family, you know? Like, we're a family. You're more worried about yourself?
You bitch!
Kind of like Little E's dad. And, you know, Drama's dad.
Well, he's an idiot because he talks about how the Dirty B is a money-grubbing bitch who will never let him see his daughter. But I had to tell her, I'm like, you keep letting him call her, and it's fucking her up because he never comes around, and he says he's going to do this, and he no-shows. And he's going to take her to buy shoes, and he no-shows. And he's always letting her down. I'm like, fucking cut him off. He owes you $20,000 in child support arrears that you will never fucking get. That snowball just keeps rolling downhill, getting bigger and bigger.
That will keep him from doing so many fucking things.
He doesn't have a license.
Should he actually get I was going to say, should he actually get a job and actually be able to do something?
He works for his dad, technically, but he does cash jobs under the table, so he doesn't have to report his income.
See, he's just right at this point. I'm not paying child support, so I'm just going to do this.
Pretty much.
And until his dad wakes up and says, get a fucking job, or I'm going to start reporting this income to the state so that you can start paying child support, he's just going to keep doing it.
His parents will pay in his favor from time to time, but she rarely gets money. And like I said, he barely ever calls. So finally, one of the first nights that we were here, the missus was super stressed out, and she came downstairs, and I came downstairs, and she was down here crying. Because she was stressed out at all four of the kids were here, and none of them were getting along, sans the baby, because she's a fucking baby. So I'm like, stay here. I went upstairs. I made little E get out of bed. I'm like, come here. She's like, what? I'm like, get up. And I picked her up, and I carried her downstairs, and I sat her down next to her mom. And I basically gave her a speech. I'm like, Mom is crying. Mom is crying because she is stressed out because none of you are getting along. And moving us all in together is not easy, and you're not making it any easier. So you need to get with the program and realize that you live in my house now, and I have certain rules. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm not going to spank you or punish you. That's technically her job. But I am going to be your stepdad, so you need to get used to this new dynamic where we're all a family. You can't just whisper what's wrong in her ear because you don't want me to know. If you have things you want to ask for, you have to come to me, not to her also.
Yep.
You know? And as I'm saying, she's starting to cry. I'm like, and I'm sorry. I know that your dad isn't around and you feel bad about that. But I've said this before. You have me now. You have someone else. I'm going to be here. We're all going to be together. So you just better get used to it. And you better start coming to me because I'm here for you because I care about you. That's why we're all together. So they hugged it out and had a good cry. And I left. And the Dirty Bee explained to her that the reason her dad is, quote, sick is because he does drugs.
I suppose let the Dirty Bee kind of lay it out for her.
She didn't tell her that he's got a fucking coke problem, amongst other things, and he hangs with, like, pot dealers downtown in
All she needs
Minneapolis.
to know is that he does drugs.
And
Granted, she's probably not comprehending it, but...
Well, I think she knows enough, and then the missus says, and he doesn't come around because he doesn't have a driver's license, because he doesn't pay his child support. He doesn't pay me the money that he's supposed to, and that's why we never had our own house. That's why we lived with Grandma. So she dropped some fucking knowledge on her. But as much as I wanted to throw him under the bus, I took the moral high ground and I kind of laid it out there as best I could without slamming him. And I left it to the mother to do, to my wife. And then conversely, last night, I could have said, fuck him. He doesn't need to talk to her. No, I want her to talk to him. I want him to get his shit together. I want him to be able to take her so that she has memories with her own father. Not this fucking ghost that was haunting parts of her life from here and there that she doesn't. Yeah. You can't wrap your arms around an absentee father and you can't hug a memory, but you could at least have a memory, and she doesn't have very many. Because they broke up real early on after she had the kid. They were together for like 6 years. Longer than me and the Beast were together. By like a lot.
But when she got pregnant, that's when he booked?
No, not right away.
Okay.
They were living together shortly after. And when she got knocked up, that was like the tail end of their relationship. When she couldn't stand him anymore. She would just occasionally want to get fucked. And basically lay there and take it. Is what she told me. And I'm inclined to believe her because every time she's told me, the handful of times, it's been the same way with the same lack of emotion. This like 1,000-yard stare in her eyes of emptiness. Like there's no emotion to be had with this fucking guy. Once upon a time ago when I saw him put on her birthday on Facebook, Dirty B's like, look what he put on there. Here's his name, look him up. And I look, and the stupid idiot didn't change his privacy settings for one. And he goes, happy birthday to my little girl. It'll be better someday. Daddy misses you. And then someone's like, oh, how come you're not seeing your daughter today? And his reply was just, Mom's a money-hungry bitch. And I'm like, fuck this guy.
What the fuck?
If I ever see him, I'm going to punch him in his stupid, skinny face.
Money-hungry bitch because she wants child support so that she can give her daughter everything she needs.
Well,
yeah.
That's the unfortunate nature of the beast for a lot of guys that make babies they don't intend to. Not everybody steps up to the plate and sticks it out with someone they don't really want to be with like I did.
Now, I do have a story of a guy that I know who kind of the same situation. Granted, his stepdaughter is now mid-20s or something, married, has her own kid. But when he met his now wife, she had an infant, and they got together, they married and everything. And he raised her as his own because Dad was a drug user. Dad didn't even live in state. Dad didn't have a job. Didn't get child support or anything. He raised this daughter from infancy without any help from the biological father. And I think he told me when she was about 8, 9 years old, his wife got a call from the police out in California saying that they found the father and he was dead with a needle sticking out of his arm. He overdosed. So, he told me she knew of her dad, but never really talked about it because he was never really there. And then...
You know what action figure therapy Ranger would say to that? Problem solved, problem staying solved.
Yeah.
Rangers lead the way.
So, I can't remember if he said he told her when he told her that they told her when her father died. I don't know what age they chose to do that, but I think she was about 8 or 9 when he passed away, when he overdosed. But essentially, that's almost the same situation, and this probably should be the same way. I mean, minimal contact, and he needs to get his act together if he wants to be in her life, because there's no sense in him making promises and saying, I'll do this, and then not doing it. That's going to screw her up.
And he's done that a number of times, specifically to go buy school clothes or school shoes. You know, he was going to step up and take her, and she wants to see him. For all the disappointment, she still wants to see him. She still wants to have a relationship with her father. I would never tell her it's not something I want her to do. I might say, like in a few years, I want you to be wary. I want you to be cautiously optimistic that he's going to do right by you. But keep in mind all the times he's left you hanging. So prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Yep. That's kind of what we had to tell Bubba in dealing with his mother. Is, you know, she says she'll do this, she says she'll do that, but does she? No.
How's her new husband with the boys?
He seems all right with them. They said he can be strict. And when I was over there a few weeks ago dropping the boys off and collecting a check, he was asking me how I handle the boys when it comes to punishments and stuff. Like, he didn't know how to punish children, but he had 3 kids of his own.
So he was just like a pushover, or what the fuck?
I don't really know. I just told him, I said, you just got to know what the kids like and take that away from them. I said, Bubba likes to go outside and play, so he gets in trouble. He gets grounded to the house. That's torture for him. When Pubert gets in trouble, I take away his video games because that's torture for him. I make him go outside and play.
I take away his Kleenex and Jergens.
Yeah.
Then he just sits in his room bored with full balls.
What?
I just told him, you got to know what the kids like, and that's what you got to go after, you know? You got to make them, oh man, this sucks. Because if your kid likes to sit in the house and play video games, grounding him to the house isn't going to do anything.
My folks used to do that. They'd send me to my room, and I had a TV and a Nintendo, and then a Super Nintendo.
My parents did that too, but I was so used to that stuff that I didn't want to do it anymore. Like, I would watch a movie occasionally. That's not what I wanted to do. So me getting grounded to the house was torture. Getting sent to my room was a form of torture.
But the difference being here is that he doesn't have to try to make up for your absence. You're very much in the picture. So all he's got to do is kind of set the cruise control and try to get together with them, coexist.
Mm-hmm. That's all he's really got to do, yeah.
Whereas I'm now shouldering the load of 7 years of missed birthdays and Christmases and opportunities and memories, and I keep trying to do fun stuff with her, which we still haven't done something fun in honor of her birthday. She keeps not coming up with anything. But I don't want to buy more toys. I want to take her to places and do things to make memories. But I have to make up for a guy that's not there. And I'm not trying to replace him, be like, oh, look at how fucking awesome I am. All I can do is my best to see any sort of emotional damage from his mistreatment and lack of being there and try to compensate to level her out. Like, I have to recognize it and try to keep her on the straight and narrow and hope she doesn't experiment with drugs or drinking or stealing or skipping school or fucking a bunch of dudes or fucking much older dudes.
You're just getting her prepared for life.
Pretty much, you know. But, like, we'll go places. And I'm like, you want to go with me to the store? Yeah, okay. And then
that's a start.
We'll get cookies, and I'll be like, don't tell Mom I let you eat cookies before dinner.
I like doing it with my kids, too. It's like, hey, we're going to do this, but don't tell Mom.
Right. And then she had this new pair of roller skates she got for her birthday. I was the first person to take her to use them. And then the next time, me and the missus took her out to use them. But I'm making time when I should be getting the house ready for them to move in weeks ago to take her around the block a number of times on her skates just to shoot the shit with her.
You know, and that's more important than getting the house ready. I mean, you can do that stuff later. You're trying to build a relationship with her. Show her she can trust you. Show her that you're going to be there. and that you actually do care for her.
Well, on the day of gift opening, the day after our wedding, she cried because somebody told her there were presents for her and the other girls.
Mm-hmm.
And she went walking away, and the missus was just going to keep opening. I'm like, hang on. So I went after her. I'm like, stop. I told you, you can't just cry and shut down and walk away. Stop for a second, take a breath, and explain what's wrong or what you're feeling. I'm like, you're sad that there's not any toys? Mm-hmm. Because somebody told you you're going to get some? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry that you were misled by the juice who was confused. But look at it this way. Instead of just another toy, okay, you got the greatest gift you could get yesterday. You got a stepdad and a new family, and we're all together now. That's way better than some dumb toy.
Mm-hmm. And
that's not a gift that you have to unwrap. It's a gift that becomes your life. That gift wraps you.
Yeah.
So this thing where she's got 2 dads now, and I don't have her call me dad. She calls me by my name. I would never say, call me dad. I'm not going to do that. Just like I don't make my daughters call my wife mom. One of them calls her stepmom playfully, and the other one just calls her by her name. And it pisses the beast off when the juice calls her mom or stepmom. She's like, she's not your fucking mom. She'll never be your mom. I'm your mom.
You could explain it the way I explain to my kids. It's like, your mother,
the beast.
That's your mother. She gave birth to you.
Yeah, I've done that.
Well, granted, then again, you don't have full custody, so it's kind of different in my situation.
Yeah, we got joint.
Yeah. Whereas, the dirty bee, that's mom. She's here for you when you're here and everything. But the beast is your mother. And that's what I told my boys. It's like, that's your mother. Call her mom, whatever you want to. But when I am going to talk about her, I'm going to say your mother. Because when we first got divorced, and I was calling her Leah, they started calling her Leah, and she came at me kind of annoyed. So, and then I said, and this is, Mrs. Number One Fan, I said, you can call her mom if you want, or, we did kind of leave it up to them. And it was kind of the same. Abby just grew up calling me dad because all the other kids did. But when...
At least they didn't start calling their own mother Leadhead.
Yeah.
Like you call her.
Yeah, I call her Leadhead. So, but when Drama's biological father started coming in the picture, I told her, I said, you can call him whatever you want, and if you don't feel comfortable calling me dad anymore, you don't have to. I told her the truth. I said, I like being called dad by you, but that's your choice.
Yeah, you can't force that shit, as I'm learning day by day here, just trying to get through. And I help her with her getting ready for bed routine, and I give her little things like, do me a favor, go do this. Run out to the car and grab that. And she seems to be more than happy to do it. I think she's just happy to have somebody to give her some structure and to feel like she's a part of something, like she's helping. Because the dirty bee just kind of like, get out of the way. Sometimes she asks her for help and then she doesn't help. It seems like when I tell her things or ask her for things, it's right to it.
Depending on what it is, I usually get the stare from Drama. Like, really, Dad? Like, yeah, go do that for me, please. Because I ask her to do something. It depends on what it is. Like, if I ask her to go out to the garage and get something out of my bike, she's fine with it. But if I ask her to run downstairs and get the chicken out of the freezer, she just gives me this weird look. Like, just go.
I sent her to her room for the first time the other night, and she went. She didn't raise a fuss. Like, the Chi-Chi is like, no. What did you say? How long?
Until I say.
Usually I give it in increments of 2 or 5 or 10 minutes. I basically do it like hockey penalties. There's majors and minors. I haven't had to reject her yet.
Usually I'll get arguments from my children when I try to send them to the room. And the older ones will, after I say, just go now, they'll go. It's Turtle that needs to be dragged and or spanked. Because she just stomps her feet and crosses her arms and acts like a freaking 2-year-old.
Yeah, I haven't laid my hands on or really yelled at the stepdaughter. I'm going to have no problem spanking the snoo baby when the time comes, if need be, like my other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I got this odd feeling she's going to be very easygoing, kind of like the juice. But even more so, because obviously they're half of each parent,
Mm-hmm.
and the Beast and I each have a temper, whereas the Dirty Bee is very chill. And when we're around each other, I'm very chill. So my life dynamic is like way less stressful at home now, even though there's all this chaos. So,
well, 4 children is chaos. I can tell you that.
It is. Now I have 4 children also. Hashtag dad life.
It only gets easier though until 3 of your 4 will be in high school at the
Shut
same
up!
time.
I don't want to think about that. I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about all the periods.
At least my daughters won't be in high school until Hubert's out, till he's graduated. So I got that going for me.
You hope.
He'll graduate. He's actually very book smart. He does pretty well in his grades.
Well, I hope he does good in life also. He can be life smart. Like the Beast.
That's life smart?
She calls it life smart.
The people who don't have life smart are the ones that say they have life smart.
Well, first off, it's called street smarts, and only a retard calls it life smarts.
Mm-hmm. No, I caught that.
Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. We're on YouTube, so like and subscribe and spread the word with some of your friends if you like the show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number 1 fan, Tim.
And that's the end.
Problem solved. Problem staying solved. Rangers lead the way.